Good evening, gentlemen. A full house. I must say, before we start, the first-time moderator, Naveen, really did a good job. In fact, he raised the bar for the moderators. It was full of energy, and I think you kept every panelist up on their toes to answer all the questions. Quite nicely done. Now we come to the last topic for the session. To start with, we had the inspirational speech from Dr. Jain, who, with his vast experience and a vision for future, gave us in terms of what went in and what is the way forward. As a follow-up, we had the discussions on feed in terms of the new alternatives, the technology upgradation, and how we can look in terms of, if not lowering the cost, at least maintaining the cost in spite of raising ingredient prices. I'm sure these alternatives, what was suggested, would be very useful and industry would try. Later, we had discussions in terms of processing. I feel that's a sunrise industry. Today, if in case the solution for industry we are looking at, I think most of us here would have to look in terms of the processing at different places, be it in rural market or urban market. And that maybe is the way forward, that maybe is the solution. India is still currently 95% around for chicken in wet market, and for eggs probably more than 98 or 98 and a half or 99% is still sold without any value addition. In these circumstances, I think when we have the mismatch between supply and demand, obviously we have to see in terms of how market, if in case we have to absorb these fluctuations, the way forward would be getting into processing, especially in broilers, by all of us. And I'm sure the challenges that marketing would have to address, the panelists would take it up. I'm very fortunate to have very distinguished panel members, and I'm very fortunate to be amongst them to address this issue. May I have the pleasure of requesting them to come onto the dais. May I request Honorable Chinnaraju Garu, Member of Parliament, to kindly come onto the dais, sir. May I also request Mr. Ashok Kumar, MAA Integrators, Assistant Data Analytics, and as well in terms of marketing of the product, he has got a lot of insights and a lot of knowledge in broilers. I'm sure he would share his experiences. We have with us Mr. Suresh Chitturi, the earlier IEC chairman. He has rich experience. He has a lot of ideas about egg marketing, and I'm glad that he's with us. May I also request Mr. Vignesh Ramakrishnan from Udaan, who has got a lot of experience in QSRs and as well as Horeca, to kindly join us. I find the way Naveen did is better to stand and then address the audience. I've been sitting there, it's difficult to watch all. To recap, if you look at the Indian poultry over the years, the production came in concentrated pockets, the consumption was spread out all over the country. Basically, this is because there were advantages in certain area, either in terms of feed or in terms of the technology readily available. Therefore, to start with the egg marketing, we had concentrated pockets, which was producing a lot of eggs, and then it was moving on. And almost till about 6-7 years back, I'm sorry, may I also request Mr. Ajay Deshpande, I didn't see the chair, so, to kindly join, who has good experience in Maharashtra in discussing and coordinating with all over the parties in the country. Yeah, this helps me. I can stand and talk. As I was saying, the production came up in concentrated pockets, and the consumption was all over the country. But till about 5-6 years back, the Indian poultry itself was production driven. We were producing more, and the production was helping in terms of making it available. India is a country with a lot of positives and as well as some challenges. A country with population of about 142 crores and still growing. A per capita consumption, which is only 50% of the national recommendation, nutritional recommendation. We are still only about 1995, while the recommendation is about 180 plus. In chicken too, our consumption is about 4.5 kilos, while the recommendation is about 9 kilos. And we are geographically located so well that there's a big market in terms of export to tap. Well, these are all the positives. And add to that, during the COVID, There was recommendation by everyone, every doctor, for eating eggs and chicken as immunity builder. That really helped. If you go to any consumer, there is no resistance. Earlier probably there was some thought in terms of whether they should take eggs or chicken, but in the last 2 years, that has changed and everybody is taking to eggs and chicken very heartfully. So in that sense, I think we have a good demand from a big population in a country with a lot of potential. However, if you look at the challenges part of it, we have more than 60% of people living in villages. And we have transport into these villages or keeping in terms of storage conditions or in terms of their buying power, who purchase most of their product on the day of consumption as a challenge. How do we address it? Because today, one side we are saying there is a big potential, but with a small increase in production for the last 3-4 years, we find that the next, they're not able to take the price up. Similarly, if you look at chicken, we have 3 segments. We have a broiler hatching egg segment, we have a chick segment, and we have an integration. And each of these segments are catering to a big, large consumers. For instance, there was an open farmer segment, which now slowly is reducing all over the country. So the chick market, breeders who are into chick are finding it difficult. Similarly, we had broiler hatching eggs, which was catering to a lot of people, whether it's selling chicks or into integration, which is also finding it difficult to make remunerative returns. In this scenario, especially in the coming years, what are the solutions for this challenge that we have? I will start my question to Chinnaraj Garu, Honorable MP, because he's got rich experience in terms of marketing in the 2-tier and 3-tier cities. Sir, what is your experience and how do, because in the cities, as earlier pointed out by the panelists, the consumption is good. For instance, in Bombay, the consumption is supposed to be 220 per capita. Similarly, if you look at Hyderabad, Bangalore, all these, the per capita are very good in terms of egg consumption. But if you go 100 kilometers away, you find that the consumption is much lower, whether it is in Maharashtra, elsewhere. How do we reach these 2-tier and 3-tier cities with promotion to see that we can get more eggs sold over there or more eggs consumed over there?
Sir, Tamil Nadu is the largest layer holding state where 18% of the national population, 7 crore out of 40 crores, is harbored producing about 63 million eggs every day. Raising this figure took a little more than 4 decades, and though considerations look to the happen, never forms and expansions are still going on with about 5 to 6 annual growth. It is interesting to observe that the model of egg consumption in both urban and rural in Tamil Nadu and the adjoining Kerala, the one of that is encouraging the further expansion. There are many reasons for this typical pattern in Tamil Nadu and Kerala. Before I could dwell on the reasons for this encouraging pattern in egg consumption elsewhere in other places of India is not so. While it is 120 to 135 eggs per person per annum in urban areas of both the neighboring states, it is about 80 to 85 eggs in rural areas. Whereas in other states of India, it is striking at 60 to 65 eggs in urban areas on the average. The figure of egg consumption in rural areas is poor, 30 to 35 eggs per annum per person in north state. So, if we closely observe the poor consumption still prevailing in the rural and even urban areas of these states of India, the potential reasons for such patterns are largely a vegetarian society still thinking egg is a non-vegetarian food. Lack of knowledge of the benefits of egg consumption, lack of marketing strategies, poor display of eggs in the shops of village and towns. In consideration, government, society, committee approaches to this community. Now coming to egg consumption in Tamil Nadu, Kerala and few other neighboring states, the success of almost similar pattern of the consumption of in rural and urban areas. Introductions of 1 egg, 2 eggs, 3 eggs, 4 eggs and 5 eggs per week in the midday meal scheme since 2000. Such practice of offering egg every day of school in young age makes a younger generation to get practiced to eating egg throughout the later life after completion of their school life. The trader practice of supplying eggs to even the hamlet or smallest village by keeping eggs in trays in the shop in exposed way is a market gimmick to remind the people to buy eggs frequently. The association and the society in Tamil Nadu state continuously strive hard to reaching entire community in one way or other by reminding the people about the egg consumption or improving the intelligence, immunity and overall health in their words. Continuous rapport with medical practitioners in reminding them that the egg consumption even in pregnant women would increase the health of the baby in the uterus. Hence, I suggest that to increase the consumption of eggs in the rural areas and even urban areas of the many states of India, egg producers and traders should indulge in promoting egg availability, display of eggs in trays, keeping advertisement display at every shop possible with familiar face like local familiar actors, cricket players and other famous local personalities. Insisting on the introductions of eggs in meals for rural society in schools and increase such quota in already introduced schemes. Impressing upon medical practitioners to recommend egg to pregnant and lacting women, growing children, and also even convalescing and sick people. Advertisement in all possible social media and keeping good photos of egg varieties to tempt the hungry mass of people. It is the duty of the learned poultry scientists, veterinarians, egg producers, marketing people and small traders to spread the benefits of eggs consumption in the identified manner in the continuous and interrupted way. Results of not happen immediately will end up in the slow but steady enhancement in achieving this goal. Best wishes and thanks for the opportunity.
Ashok sir, one of the challenge that industry faces is more than 100 days are the vegetarian days as far as the consumption of chicken is concerned. How do we change this consumer habit and ensure that more number of days they eat chicken and eggs through promotion?
We have clearly there is a vegetarian days and non-vegetarian days. The demand is based on the consumer trend, and our consumer trends are more influenced by the religion pattern in this country. So unfortunately or fortunately, we all follow religion, one or the other religion, and more or less in all the religions there are vegetarian days. So for us, like when the religion says don't eat, it is the final, don't eat. So changing on a religion no meat day making them to eat on that day, it may be very difficult or it may not be possible. But on the other way, if you look at, in a week we have 7 days, and most of us, we say we are non-vegetarian, they raise their hand very happily. But if you ask them how many days they are buying chicken, it is merely 2 or 3 days. And majority of the people are buying only 1 day a week chicken. Now what we have to do, we have to convert this population into more number of meals. Instead of, we have the 7 into 3, that is virtually 21 meals. If we can make 50% of the meal, say 10 meals, or if we can every year, if we can increase 2 to 3 meal on an average, and by inducing something like snacks, breakfast, or especially if we can educate the young population between 14 and 20 years, and if we can educate, they will in turn, they will educate the mother and father also, and that can increase the consumption, and that can definitely give a big boost for us, because we don't have any surplus management with us. Neither we do follow the demand-based production, nor we have a surplus management of production. The only way we can go forward is by increasing the consumption. The increasing consumption is only from the non-veg population. The 30+% of vegetarian population, you can't bring them to non-vegetarian diet. But the non-veg population, instead of eating 1 meal, 2 meal, 3 meal, if we can increase 3 to 6 meal, that means there is a big scope to increase 100% market. So I feel that today, like all of us, we should contribute ourselves, and we should go ahead with the marketing to make chicken more popular on every meal, every day. I think I am answered your question, sir.
Sure, good. Sir, Ajay sir, we find that in certain periods you have surplus production in some zone, and the coordination is required in terms of ensuring that the losses are reduced. You have been doing that from Maharashtra. How do we make it more effective? Especially in the coming months when you have these Atik Shravan, Navratri, all these festivals coming up, how do we minimize the shocks?
You see, the most frequently asked question nowadays is, what is the financial year outcome of the financial year 21-22? So many answers are coming. Somebody says good profits. Somebody says it is marginal profit. Somebody is saying that profit before depreciation. Some is break even. Some is minimum loss, marginal loss. Some is saying huge losses. So this is very important in that scenario. So where you stand is very important, at which segment. Whether you are in marginal profit, and this plays important role of seasonal placement. I have calculated, and I have carried homework for this one. So if your average placement are consistent throughout the year, so your realization will be at least 2 to 3 rupees lesser than if you have planned either way. You have to cut down the production during the lean phase. So definitely on the 3 rupees margin, 3 rupees would make a big difference. So we at association level also, we caution every time all the members that please reduce the placement and cut down the placements when there is lean phase of consumption period.
Suresh, you have a lot of experience in advertisement through social media. How do you make eggs and chicken more popular through the social media in terms of the 2-tier, 3-tier cities as well as in the villages?
So I think some issues are easier for egg because I think like in my house, there is no way nobody is eating eggs every day except I think 3 days in a year. That too if my wife and mother really get angry with us. Otherwise, but I think first and foremost, I think as an industry, some years back we did Roj Ka Ande and people still talk about that only. I think we have not evolved out of that. We have not done more. Eggs especially have a fantastic opportunity today. I mean, somebody was asking me, sir, how did you lose weight? I said 4 eggs a day. So, and of course, half a kg of chicken a day. so I think that's one side, right? And we need to educate. If you go to, Chinraj sir was alluding, if you go to doctors now, even they are still talking about stuff which is 20-year-old knowledge.
about eating cholesterol and all that, which is completely bogus, right? And because that's all gone now. Science is actually completely in our support. So I think that's where we have to go. We have to invest in educating doctors and even media also to a large extent. That's one side. On the export side, Anand uncle, there's a huge opportunity around us. And I was shocked that when I was seeing the numbers, roughly 1/3 of our country's production can be exported. Two things, we have a very bad reputation. Our eggs especially have very, very bad reputation wherever we are sending. And I'll give you one example. Recently, Malaysia wanted eggs from us. They were quite desperate. We sent 10 containers, 60% of the eggs were rejected. And that's it. After that, they don't want to talk to us, they don't want to touch. They need eggs, but they are in a very good price also we would have gotten. But unfortunately, what is happening is there is no quality control on what goes out of a country. Like if you see shrimps or even medicines and all that, there is some control on that, right? We are supplying the world shrimps. All the medicines everybody takes are coming from our country. So there is no reason why we can't send quality eggs. Now what is quality? Egg size, breakage. These are the two things that they're talking about. Internal quality, nobody is talking about yet. And most of these people in our neighborhood, they are not worried about antibiotics and all that. But there's so much chicken coming from Brazil, Ukraine and everywhere. We don't even need too much. 10% of that matlab apna shortage and all these problems will be solved. So I think that's where I think as an industry, we have to get government also to go talk to, like if you see wherever US or Europe, you see how their governments are coming and pressurizing this thing to do. That's where I think we also need to educate our government. First point, I think that is completely lacking. I think rarely does anybody in the government know what opportunity that is there and all that. I think that's a big problem that we have. I think there we will also have an advantage if you're exporting. We can probably import feed also that will reduce our cost of production even more. The surplus production has to be pushed out of the country. If it is in the country, then it is playing havoc. So every time we have that excess production, be it frozen or eggs in cold storage, at whatever price, 10 paisa, 20 paisa less, you push it out, then everything price will go up. That's what most countries do. That's what US does, or most of them do when they have this thing. I think these are some things that need to do, but then point is who's going to bell the cat, bring everybody together? Are we as an industry ready to do that together? I think that is where is the gap, if you ask me. I think individually we are all doing well, but collectively we are not doing so well, where I see the problem.
My experience as far as the export is concerned, the rampant use of antibiotics and as well as the residues which is there in terms of pesticides, which is coming to the crops, is coming in the way for unprocessed one. Because sending egg powder, yes, it is possible because there, in terms of captive production, testing, everything is possible. But once we are doing in terms of exporting, procuring from farmers and sending it out, the residue presence prohibits us to send to countries which can pay us a better price. Because sending to Dubai is one option, but if you have to send it to countries which pay you a better price, for such countries, meeting the residues problem is becoming little difficult.
But if you talk of Oman, uncle, is the price because they are demanding less or we are going and offering less? Like as I said, Malaysia, they were not talking about anything. They were not asking for any residues, anything. There are certain things. Egg size was one condition. Shell quality was one condition, right? And clean eggs, of course. They don't want dirty eggs and all that. But we didn't, and what we send, you have to understand, now Sri Lanka, they're desperate. 15 rupees an egg in Indian rupees right now, right? Just across the pond from Namakkal, they'll get it for 5 rupees. Just imagine. But why are they scared? Because they're scared about Indian egg, matlab, bad quality. Who did that? We did that. We did that to ourselves. Now, this thing. So, I agree with you, uncle. As we do that, right now we don't have to compete with Europeans and all those on the quality. There is enough market for us to send out few containers, be it Africa, be it Middle East, be it, these countries. They're all desperate for good quality, good eggs now, right now, forget about everything else. But the problem is, when we send one container, you go to Middle East. I have spoken to, I think no trader I have not spoken to. They say, sir, aapke to 10%, 8 to 10% breakage. I don't know how far that is true because I have not gone into this thing. But they are saying the problem with you is heavy breakage of eggs and then small eggs. You know, the Indian eggs that I say is only small eggs. And of course, their definition of small and medium and our definition of small and medium, there's a little bit of mismatch in that. That's also a problem. But I think, if we, as an industry, collectively, we control that, I think there's huge opportunity. There's huge opportunity there. And then we can do other things also. It is not. My point is, who cares for Europe and Japan? I'm not worried about sending to those guys. There's huge market around us. So why not worry about that first? You know, like chicken from Brazil is 3 months old in Dubai. From here, it can be 1 week, maximum 1 week old, right? It's, if you see, the earliest chicken is 3 months old. Sometimes it's 9 months old chicken selling in supermarkets, frozen. But we are not able to sell.
In this context, I must definitely compliment Namakkal farmers. In spite of all the challenges, they're regularly sending eggs out, 2 or 4 containers every week, and that, I mean, per day, and that really should be complimented. But the same thing is not happening from other areas. Maybe because of advantage of port, they're able to stuff from Cochin, while others have to probably send it to Bombay or other places. But our market has still been traditionally only Middle East, that to Oman. But we have to probably cater to other markets to get our surplus eggs out. That's a challenge which we have to address. How about chicken, sir? Chicken exports. And the other challenge is about the declaration of bird flu frequently and the borders being closed, OA not accepting our explanation in terms of allowing the exports to happen.
On chicken, we can definitely go for zoning with our government. We have to go talk to our government and put pressure on them, right? Now,
I think our government seems to be favorable. It's only the OIE which has to really accommodate.
See, OIE, because I've interacted with them enough. See, they have the rules. It's not OIE's problem. They are clearly saying, we have told you what you can do. Now, you have to do it, no? See, if Telangana or say Tamil Nadu goes and convinces the government whatever it is and declares itself a zone, right? Then OIE will accept it. That's it. OIE is not involved, is not going to make a rule for India. Their document is clear, it's for the whole world, right? The problem is, we have to go convince our government and our department to declare, and zone can be anything. It can be one city, sir, one village, one state, one farm is compartment. So that is one thing, right? Anyway, going for compartment will be not easy for everybody. But state-wise zone, we have to go put pressure on government and talk to them. It will take time. But the problem is most of them, they are, the secretary keeps changing every 6 months. Suddenly he comes from finance to chicken, he doesn't. And some of them, sir, Jain sahab to theek hai, apne ko chal gaya, but if he's a Jain, then he's like, baat hi nahi karna chahta apne se. Right? I mean, the point is, those are the things we are confronting there. But we have to, as an industry, go convince government that we are talking of, north-south. No, why north-south? I think state-wise we have to declare a zone. And then they will accept it. If it's Assam, if bird flu in Assam, then it's restricted to Assam. OIE is very simple, sir, because I've asked them, because I've been meeting them a lot because of the cage ban and all that. And they have said, sir, Suresh, this is very simple. It is for you, your government to implement. There is nothing for anybody to do here. The zone can be anything, as I said. Individual farm is a compartment. But zone can be only Namakkal. But your government has to, the state government and central government have to take interest in that, and of course then they'll hold the state government accountable that, are you monitoring bird flu or not? If they don't do that, then you lose respect.
Sir, we have given suggestions. Sir, we have recommended government of India and suggested few guidelines to amend the bird flu draft. And of late, I came to know that they are on fast priority, and government of India is working on that positively. Because what we have done, what are the OIE guidelines, and whether we are following those guidelines or not, and what industry's expectations are. So it is from our side now. So it is the iron is hot now. We have to hit at right time. And if you persuade government to take actions fastly, it will work out, I think.
It's a point of educating our government also. See, when the cage ban thing was happening, uncle, I found out India's OIE representative has not been going for 12 years. He's never gone to the OIE general session. So then where is the vote? Then I ran after him, begged him to come. He came, and then, because here he doesn't give time. Luckily, I found him in Paris. I got time. I explained to him what is the problem. And then he created such a ruckus in the entire assembly, which was what stopped the OIE from banning the conventional cages. So otherwise it was done. EU and European and the Africans were doing it. Conventional cages would have been banned.
Mr. Vignesh, in terms of the future that you see for the eggs and chicken consumption in Horeca, how do you see that?
Yeah, so thank you so much for having me here. I don't come from the poultry industry, but I'll just speak briefly about the opportunity that is Horeca, right, particularly related to poultry and chicken. To put it in facts briefly, there are almost 1 million Horeca users in the country, right, like hotels, restaurants, and caterers. The raw material needs of theirs, to cook the food that they're cooking is approximately $25-30 billion, right? So out of this, only about 25 to 30% is actually organized. And by organized, I mean QSRs, cloud kitchens, fine dining restaurants, resto pubs, and the like. Rest of them are completely unorganized right now, right? Like these are roadside dabas and food stalls and stuff like that. Of this, if you see, of the $25-30 billion raw material needs that they have, roughly 50% is groceries, which is staples and FMCG products. 25 to 30% is non-veg, which is poultry and chicken. And the remaining 20-25% is actually dairy and fresh vegetables and all of that. And I think we've heard earlier in the discussion as well that only 6 to 10% of overall poultry is actually processed. And with the organized segments, which is QSRs and a lot of it in the top 10 cities actually growing, the demand for good quality input raw materials is significantly on the rise because the customers who are consuming this actually demand very good quality of food, right? Sir also mentioned about 7 days a week and 3 meals a day. I think it's actually gone beyond that to 7 days a week and 4 meals a day with a snack coming in between. And at least in the top 8-10 cities, the ordering pattern in online and the number of meals that you eat outside is going up, right? This industry is actually growing. And this is a very young crowd, 30-something, which is very demanding of quality, for whom good quality poultry is going to be absolutely critical. And as we work with a lot of Horeca restaurants and as we hear from chefs, the number of specifications they have in the type of meat they need, in the consistency they need, in the timeliness of delivery they need. And then typically for a good restaurant, 25 to 30% of their revenue is actually cost of raw material, right? And with commodity prices on the rise, they actually want a predictable cost and their demand on quality is going up. Now, how do you address this? It's a massive opportunity that's out there for us to take, and I think we should definitely capitalize on that.
Good. So you feel there's a great future in terms of increased demand coming from this Horeca segment in the coming years?
Absolutely. I'm a vegetarian myself, probably an exception in this audience, but I'm deeply invested in this as much as I'm not a consumer of it directly, because I believe there is a great opportunity. And, organized players, particularly at scale through internet, to be able to standardize and organize this, there is a great opportunity. And that's where we are fully invested as a firm ourselves. And, in the next 15, 20, 30 years, things are going to change and only for the better.
Coming back to you, Ashok, in terms of the coming 2-3 years, the challenges that come to such segments in terms of broader business, how do they prepare themselves? What kind of changes they should do, whether it's a BHA segment or chick segment, and how do they change themselves to accommodate for the challenges that are going to come?
Hello. As of today, we have two markets. One is the buyer-driven and another one is seller-driven. We are in a buyer's market. And poultry being irrespective of the sector, whether it is a chick or hatching egg or broiler, we don't have any control on the input cost, and also we don't have any control on the output cost. We have collectively we have failed to market our product, and we are producing more than the required in many number of days, in the majority of the days in a year. So we have a very big challenge to make a bottom line green. As doctor said, there are few who are able to make profit, there are few who are not able to make profit, and some are under loss. Now, under this scenario, whomever is more efficient, whomever is able to manage the cost, and whomever is able to sell for a little higher price, that makes the difference. So, we have a clear bottom line that collectively we are not able to do something. Individually, we have to save ourselves with only the costing and based on the market predictions and based on the demand side. There are coming to the chick market is virtually it is collapsing. Coming to the hatching egg market, we have started, earlier we used to sell something like the bill around 160 plus eggs. We are only able to bill about 130 to 133 eggs per bird now, because we are giving a higher hatch percentage. We are giving more than about 86-88% hatchability. The similar is in chicken. Chicken, we are all not only producing, we all want to produce 2 kg, but when the market is in surplus, we are not able to sell 2 kg. Automatically it becomes 2.4 or 2.8. So in that scenario, we ourselves, we are in a vicious circle, and this requires a clear deliberation how we go ahead and how we manage ourselves. So it cannot be explained in few minutes. I think it requires a lot more workout.
Sir, I speak Tamil. Anybody is translate in English. Vijayanand, Dr. Vijayanand.
You are a policy maker. We find that eggs in government programs, ICDS, Anganwadi, midday meal, is acceptable and getting done in Tamil Nadu, Andhra, Karnataka regions. But we are not able to push it in the north or the central India and other places, which is a big potential. How do we get them also on board for giving eggs in the midday meal program?
அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம். சார், நாம இப்போ சார் சொன்னது, நீங்கள் அங்கன் தமிழ்நாடு, கர்நாடகா, தெலுங்கானா, ஆந்திரா இந்த 3 ஸ்டேட்டில் வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா கவர்மெண்ட்டில் எக்ஸ் வந்து ஸ்கூலுக்கு சப்ளை பண்ணுறாங்க. அதில் வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா தமிழ்நாடு வந்து ஒரு வாரத்தில் 5 முட்டை கொடுக்குறோம், ஆந்திராலையும் கொடுக்குறாங்க 5 எக்ஸு, தெலுங்கானா 3 எக்ஸ்ன்னு மேபி கொடுக்குறாங்க.
Wishing everyone. He is mentioning a point that the government is supporting the school meal scheme by providing eggs in Andhra Pradesh, Telangana and Tamil Nadu.
சென்ட்ரல் கவர்மெண்ட் நூன் மில் ஸ்கீமுக்கு வந்து நிறைய ஃபண்டு கொடுக்குறாங்க. அது வந்து எல்லா ஸ்டேட்லேயுமே எக்ஸ் கொடுக்க முடியும். ஆனால் கர்நாடகாவில் வந்து எக்ஸ் வந்து ட்ரையல் கொடுத்தாங்க. அதில் வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ரிலீஜன் இஷ்யூ ஆகிப்போச்சு. அதில் வந்து எக்ஸ் வந்து ஸ்கூலுக்கு கொடுக்கக்கூடாது அப்படின்ட்டு வந்து ஒரு ரிலீஜன் இஷ்யூ ஆகி தான் வந்து எக்ஸ் வந்து வாரம் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா 1 முட்டை 2 முட்டை ட்ரையல் வந்து கொடுத்தாங்க அந்த அங்கன்வாடிக்கு மட்டும். கொடுத்துட்டு அது சக்ஸஸ் பண்ண முடியல. ஆனால் வந்து குழந்தைங்களுக்கு வந்து ஸ்கூலில் எக் கொடுக்கறது வந்து நியூட்ரிஷன் பேலன்ஸ் பண்ணுறதுக்கு வந்து கண்டிப்பாக நல்லா இருக்கும். அது வந்து சென்ட்ரல் கவர்மெண்ட் கொடுக்குறாங்க. எல்லா ஸ்டேட்டில் இருக்கக்கூடிய இங்கே வந்து எல்லா ஸ்டேட்லேருந்து வந்திருக்கலாம். கவர்மெண்ட் அப்ரோச் பண்ணும். கவர்மெண்ட் அப்ரோச் பண்ணிட்டு
In Karnataka, the government is still doing the trials in providing eggs in the noon meal scheme for the schools. But it's quite variable result. But what sir is mentioning, there is funding, there is abundant funding from the central government. The responsibility is on the state governments to approach and get the fund and implement in their states.
இப்போ வெஸ்ட் பெங்காலில் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா சிக்கன் கொடுக்கறது சொல்லியிருக்காங்க. எல்லா கவர்மெண்ட்லேயும் வந்து சென்ட்ரல் கவர்மெண்ட் கொடுக்குற மிட் டே மீலுக்கு கொடுக்கக்கூடிய ஃபண்டு நிறைய கொடுக்குறாங்க. அதனால் வந்து கவர்மெண்ட்டை வந்து அப்ரோச் பண்ணணும். வந்து அந்த ப்ரீடர் ஃபார்மர்ஸ் அசோசியேஷன், எக் ப்ரொடியூசர்ஸ் அசோசியேஷன் வந்து அந்தந்த ஸ்டேட்டில் வந்து கவர்மெண்ட் அப்ரோச் பண்ணாங்கன்னு சொன்னால் டெஃபினட்டாக வந்து எக்ஸும் சிக்கனும் கொடுக்கறதுக்கான வாய்ப்புகள் அதிகம் இருக்குது.
Going a step forward, the government in West Bengal is even providing chicken or including chicken in the noon meal scheme for the students. There is fund available in the central government. It's responsibility for all of us in the industry to approach our state government and then get this support from the central government and implement in our respective states.
நான் நார்த் ஸ்டேட்டில் நிறைய ஸ்டேட் வந்து ரூரலில் இன்ஸ்பெக்ஷன் பண்ணியிருக்கேன் வந்து எக்ஸ் கன்சம்ஷன் இன்க்ரீஸ் பண்ணுறதுக்கு. ஆனால் மார்க்கெட்டிங் வந்து சரியாக போகாதனால தான் எக்ஸ் வந்து பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் நார்த்தில் வந்து ரூரல் சப்ளை வந்து ரொம்ப லெஸ்ஸு. இங்கே தமிழ்நாடு எடுத்தீங்கன்னு சொன்னால் ரூரல் சப்ளை வந்து ஜாஸ்தி இருக்கும், கேரளா ஜாஸ்தி இருக்கு. ஆனால் நார்த்தில் போனீங்கன்னா ரூரல் சப்ளை யூபி பீகார் ஏதோ மெட்ரோ அர்பனில் ப்ராப்ளம் இல்லை, ரூரலுக்கு வந்து எக்ஸ் வந்து ப்ராப்பராக சப்ளை கிடையாது. நான் ராஜஸ்தான் போயிருந்தப்போ ராஜஸ்தானில் பர் எக் 20 rupees, ராஜஸ்தானில் வெஜிடேரியன் மோர், ஆனால் எக்ஸ் 20 rupees விற்கிறாங்க, ஆனால் எக்ஸ் கிடைக்கிறது இல்லை. அப்போ ரூரலுக்கு எக்ஸ் வந்து ப்ராப்பராக சப்ளை இல்லை.
Sir has traveled many states, south and north in India. In South India, the supply to the rural markets or the rural markets are connected very well. Not so in northern India. For example, in Rajasthan, it's largely a vegetarian state where you naturally know egg should be abundant. But in the rural areas in Rajasthan, one egg is 20 rupees. So this gap is there. These are the things we should look at.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
ஒரே ஒரு இப்போ வந்து சார் எல்லாருமே வந்து ப்ரொடக்ஷனில் தான் நம்ம கான்சென்ட்ரேட் பண்ணுறோம், மார்க்கெட்டிங்கில் கான்சென்ட்ரேட் பண்ணுறதில்ல. ஸ்ரீனிவாசா ஹேச்சரி சொன்னார் வந்து மலேசியா எக்ஸ் வந்து மலேசியாவுக்கு ஸ்ரீலங்காவுக்கு போகணும்னு சொல்லி. மலேசியாவில் வந்து பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் பேக்கரி ஹோட்டல் மட்டும்தான் சார் ஒயிட் லாக்கான்னு போகுது. அங்கே வந்து மார்க்கெட்டிங் வந்து பப்ளிக்கு வந்து பர்ச்சேஸ் பண்ணுறது வந்து கலரு எக்ஸ் தான் பர்ச்சேஸ் பண்ணுறாங்க. அதனால் அங்கே வந்து எக்ஸ்போர்ட் ஆனதுக்கு வந்து ரீசன் வந்து அங்கே கவர்மெண்ட்டோட வந்து டைப் பண்ணி ஒரே ஒரு சிங்கிள் மேன் வந்து எக்ஸ் வந்து பண்ணாங்க. அவர் வந்து அந்த ஸ்டேட்டில் வந்து ரேட்டு கவர்மெண்ட்டே சொல்லுது இந்த ரேட்டுக்கு மேலே விற்கக்கூடாதுன்னு சொல்லி. அப்போ வந்து அந்த ரேட்டுக்கு மேலே விற்கக்கூடாதுன்னு சொல்லும் பொழுது அந்த மார்க்கெட்டிங்கை வந்து ரேட் இன்க்ரீஸ் பண்ணுறதுக்காக தான் அந்த ப்ளே பண்ணினாங்க. ப்ளே பண்ணிட்டு வந்து ரேட்டு வந்து கவர்மெண்ட்டில் வந்து இப்போ ஹைக் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க. அப்போ அந்த எக் ரேட் வந்து ஜாஸ்தி பண்ணுறதுக்கு அங்கே இருக்கக்கூடிய லோக்கல் ஃபார்மருக்கு ரேட் கிடைக்குது. இப்போ வந்து நமக்கு மலேசியாவுக்கு வந்து இப்போ எக்ஸ்போர்ட் பண்ணுறது வந்து கிட்டத்தட்ட வந்து லாஸ்ட் வந்து 2 months முன்னாடி பண்ணதில் இப்போ 10% இல்லை. ரீசன் வந்து அங்கே கவர்மெண்ட்டுக்கும் அந்த சிங்கிள் ட்ரேடு அந்த சிங்கிள் மேனுக்கும் தான் இஷ்யூ ஆனதுனால தான் இந்த ரேட் வந்து அங்கே இன்க்ரீஸ் பண்ணுறதுக்காக எக்ஸ்போர்ட் ஆச்சு.
We always have to look at the opportunities for marketing. And when we say marketing, don't depend on the exports too much. We have to look at marketing inside our country. Because what happened in Malaysia, for example, is a tussle between a government and a party. So whatever we have exported has gone to the bakery items, not to the market. Because the market requires the color shell. And now that tussle has come to an end, we don't get that opportunity. Whatever was initially, now it's not even 10% of that. We should look at more in marketing opportunities within the country.
நம்ம ப்ரொடக்ஷன் குறைச்சி தான் சார் ஆகணும். ப்ரொடக்ஷன் குறைக்காம வந்து இனிமேல் வந்து ஃபியூச்சரில் நம்ம எல்லாருமே வந்து எக்ஸ்பேன்ஷன் போயிட்டோம். சிக்கனாக இருக்கட்டும் எக் எல்லாமே எக்ஸ்பேன்ஷன் போயிட்டோம். இதில் வந்து சிம்பிள் எல்லா ஃபார்மரும் ப்ரொடக்ஷன் குறைக்க சொல்கிறது வந்து கஷ்டம். எல்லா ஃபார்மரும் வந்து சிக்கனோ எக்கோ ப்ரொடக்ஷன் குறைக்க சொல்கிறது கஷ்டம். ஆனால் சாத்தியமாக இருக்கானா சாத்தியம் இருக்குது. 4 பேர் கையில் தான் இருக்குது. சிக்கன் வந்து 6 ப்ரொடக்ஷன் பண்ணக்கூடிய 4 கம்பெனி கையில் தான் இருக்குது. நமக்கு வந்து எக்கு வந்து ப்ரொடக்ஷன் குறைக்கலாம், சிக்கன் ப்ரொடக்ஷன் குறைக்க முடியும். ப்ரொடக்ஷன் குறைக்கும் போது ஃபீட் காஸ்ட் ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்கலாக வந்து குறைஞ்சிரும். ரா மெட்டீரியல் ரேட்டு வந்து குறையும், சிக்கன் ரேட்டும் எக் ரேட்டும் மேலே போகும். இது வந்து நமக்கு வந்து இல்லைன்னு சொன்னால் ப்ராப்ளம் கஷ்டம். நன்றி வணக்கம். நன்றி வணக்கம்.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Sorry, Dr. Devagowda sir, we extended our time, but the discussion is very fruitful and useful for all the audience. Thank you very much.
A big round of applause for the moderator and the panelists. I thank Mr. K.J. Anand for nicely conducting this panel discussion, very engaging and interesting. Of course, pardon us for slightly overshooting the time. I request Mr. Samir Agarwal to come on to the dais for felicitating the panelists and the moderator.